Fact that you and Madonna could have been a thing when you were playing. How close was it to dating Madonna?
I have met Madonna one time in my life. She was an awesome lady. We had dinner one time. She's looking for a place to go to dinner. I took her to dinner. She was fabulous. That's the only time we met in our life.
I remember talking to my friends one night, and they said, "Oh, gambling's not your problem. You're just an idiot."
Do you think you've lost $1 million in a single day?
At least 10 to 15, somewhere in there. Like I say, I probably only won $1 million 5 or 6 times.
The scandal of Charles Barkley, his ex-wife, just revealed. You clicked, you're wondering if his marriage fell apart, but the internet is lying to you. This scandal is fake. There is no ex-wife. So what's actually real? That's what we're breaking down today. Charles Barkley is a legend. He's loud, honest, and everybody likes him. When you think of him, you think of a guy who says what he actually thinks. That's his power. That's why people trust him. But that same power made him a target for clickbait. Content creators know that pairing his name with scandal drives clicks. And Barkley's real life gave them plenty of material. But here's what's interesting. Even as Barkley became straightforward on television, he's admitted something shocking. In 2024 and 2025, he revealed on air that FanDuel betting limits are too low for him. So he needs a bookie on the side. He's operating outside the system because the system won't let him risk enough money. That's the real scandal, not an ex-wife. A guy who makes millions telling people how to be smart, and he's still fighting his need to gamble big. If you like deep dives like this that show you the truth behind the mythology, hit the hype feature right now and give this video some hype. It helps us keep making these stories. Now let's go back. Let's understand how we got here. Let's separate the real Charles Barkley from the ghost story the internet has created. The first thing you need to know is this. Charles Barkley is not divorced. He's been married to Maureen Blumhardt since 1989. That's over 35 years. They're still together. They live in Scottsdale, Arizona. Their daughter Christiana was born in 1989. But the internet keeps saying ex-wife. Where did this come from? Content creators realized that the phrase ex-wife gets more clicks than the word wife. That's it. YouTube channels and social media accounts started making videos with titles like The Scandal of Charles Barkley, his ex-wife just revealed. They never say he got divorced. They just imply it. They use old stories. They repackage his real problems and sell them as new news. The engagement goes up. The myth grows. But there is a kernel of truth. Way back in the late 1980s, when Barkley was with the Philadelphia 76ers, something happened. He was interested in Maureen, but he was paranoid. He asked female friends to watch Maureen in the stands. He wanted to verify she was single before making a move. When Maureen showed up with her brother Michael, Barkley's scouts misidentified him as her boyfriend. Barkley freaked out. He said, "I never wanted to see her again." But Maureen had seen his female friends watching her. She thought they were jealous girlfriends. She shut him down too. That misunderstanding almost ended them before they even started. If her brother hadn't cleared it up, Charles Barkley probably never marries Maureen. That's the only real separation story. Every viral video about an ex-wife is repackaging that ancient story or just fishing for clicks. Maureen is almost invisible in the public eye. That's not accidental. It's a strategy. In the late 1980s, interracial relationships with black athletes were dangerous. So Maureen made a choice to stay out of the spotlight. While modern NBA wives became influencers, Maureen stayed quiet. She focused on charity work with the Fresh Start Women's Foundation in Phoenix. She didn't post on social media. She didn't do interviews. By being invisible, she deprived tabloids of fuel they needed to destroy her relationship. But her marriage wasn't perfect. Barkley was not always faithful. There are reports about incidents with dancers and hotel rooms. Barkley has given advice to younger players that says infidelity is fine as long as you keep it quiet. He criticized Kobe Bryant by saying Kobe should have kept his wife from other wives and girlfriends. That's not about infidelity being wrong. That's about managing it. The sin isn't cheating. The sin is getting caught. And yet Maureen stayed. That either means there's a complex private arrangement, or she has resilience most people will never understand. The viral videos recycling old indiscretions as breaking news are just ancient history that never broke them apart. Now we get to the big one. The scandal that was actually real. The crisis that actually shook everything. It was 1993, the NBA Finals. Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls against Charles Barkley's Phoenix Suns. Barkley had just won the regular season MVP award. He was at the absolute peak of his power. He was a force. He was unstoppable. But something else was happening. Something was taking over the narrative. A rumor about Madonna. The media had cited Madonna courtside at the games. She sat with Arsenio Hall and other celebrities. There was a dinner. Barkley and Madonna had gone out to eat, and that's all it took. The rumor exploded. The media was everywhere. The headlines were brutal. The speculation was endless. Instead of talking about the finals, instead of analyzing basketball, the entire focus shifted to whether Charles Barkley was having an affair with Madonna. This was before Twitter. This was before the internet in its current form. But newspapers, radio, television, they all had a power. And they all focused on the same story. Barkley and Madonna. Barkley and Madonna. Barkley and Madonna. Barkley tried to manage it with humor. He joked to the press, "There's nothing going on between me and Madonna. But hey, I'm going to be getting more publicity than she's going to get." He was trying to make it a publicity joke, a mutually beneficial game. But it wasn't funny. It was eating his family alive. Then in later interviews, Barkley stuck to his story. He said, "I have met Madonna one time in my life. We had dinner one time. That's the only time we met." He said it to Dan Patrick. He said it in multiple interviews. One dinner, one meeting. That was the whole thing. But the visual evidence existed. Photos, sightings. That was enough for the tabloids. The worst part was what it did to his family. His mother-in-law was harassed. People called the house. They played Madonna songs when his wife was in public. It was relentless. It was cruel. And the stress of it was real. During the finals, Barkley revealed what was happening. He said, "She has had a lot of stress from the jokes about me and Madonna. She's not doing well right now, and that's a major concern." His mother-in-law suffered a heart attack. The media frenzy had physical consequences. Barkley pleaded with the press. He said, "This is harassment of me and my family." Nothing happened, but the harassment didn't stop. The Suns lost to the Bulls in 6 games. Barkley played well. He averaged 27.3 points per game, but they didn't win the ring. The Madonna story had been a distraction the whole time. It had been fuel for the media. It had hurt his family. And for what? For one dinner that probably never amounted to anything. That was a real scandal. That was real damage. That was a real crisis. And it showed something about Barkley that we'd see again and again. His public life burned hot, but other people paid the price. And then came 2008, the year everything nearly fell apart. In May 2008, Wynn Las Vegas filed a complaint. They said Barkley owed them $400,000. This wasn't a regular debt. This was casino markers. Short-term loans that high rollers use to gamble. Barkley had taken out 4 markers of $100,000 each in October 2007. He had lost that money, and he hadn't paid it back. Nevada law treats unpaid casino markers like bad checks. That means it's not just a civil matter. It's potentially a criminal felony. The Clark County District Attorney was ready to prosecute. They were ready to bring charges for theft and bad checks. Barkley could have gone to jail. His career could have ended. But Barkley did something smart. He didn't hide. He didn't lawyer up. He admitted it. He said, "I screwed up. I'm not broke, and I'm going to take care of it." He paid the $400,000 plus $40,000 in fees. Case closed. The district attorney dropped the charges. It was handled quickly and directly. But that was just the beginning. On December 31st, 2008, New Year's Eve, Barkley was arrested in Scottsdale, Arizona. DUI. He had run a stop sign coming out of a nightclub. The breathalyzer showed a blood alcohol level of 0.149%, nearly double the legal limit in Arizona. The legal limit is 0.08. He was at 0.149. He was impaired. He was dangerous. He was arrested. He pleaded guilty. He didn't fight it. He didn't minimize it. He took the punishment. 5 days in jail, over $2,000 in fines, a mandatory alcohol treatment program, an ignition interlock device installed in his car, and then he had to take a leave of absence from inside the NBA. 6 weeks. Gone from television. Suspended from the job that defined him. His sponsors reacted too. T-Mobile had a popular ad campaign with Barkley and Dwayne Wade. They pulled it. He was suddenly radioactive. But when he came back in February 2009, something changed fundamentally. He didn't make excuses. He didn't blame circumstances. He didn't hide behind lawyers or publicists. He said, "I think that a DUI is unacceptable. That can't happen, and I've got to challenge other people." You have to really think before getting behind the wheel. He owned it completely. He served the jail time. He paid the cost. He came back and admitted fault on national television in front of millions of viewers. And somehow, that accountability restored him. Instead of being canceled, he became a cautionary tale. Instead of being toxic, he was a guy who messed up and faced consequences and came back stronger. That was the real test of his career. That was when he could have been finished forever. And it was his willingness to admit fault that saved him. But the real story underneath all of this, the story that connects the Madonna scandal and the 2008 collapse, is the gambling. The gambling is the through line. It's the thing that explains why Barkley has always lived on the edge. Barkley has lost between $10 million and $30 million gambling. He admits it. He's called himself a total crazy person, and he means it. His whole philosophy in the 1990s and 2000s was to break the casino. He had a specific goal. He wanted to win $1 million in a single session. That was the dream. That was the chase. He would go to Las Vegas with that singular objective. He would win 300,000. He would win 500,000. He would be up huge. And he wouldn't walk away. He'd keep playing because he wanted the $1 million hit. He'd chase and chase until he lost everything. Then he'd come back and do it again. The math was against him. The odds said he'd never hit that number. But he kept trying anyway. That's the definition of crazy. That's obsession. That's addiction. And it was destroying him financially, emotionally, and professionally. After massive losses, Barkley took a hiatus from gambling. He stepped away. He didn't bet for a while. He tried to quit completely, but the urge was still there. After a couple of years away from the tables, he wanted to start again, and that's when a friend sat him down and told him something that changed his entire philosophy. The friend said, "Gambling ain't your problem. Being an idiot is your problem." That blunt statement cut through all the excuses. The friend explained that Barkley was rich enough to gamble as a hobby. Money wasn't the issue, but the issue was his mindset. His obsession with breaking the casino was stupid. Why not just view it like an expensive vacation or a concert? Spend a certain amount of money, lose it, have fun, don't try to win, don't chase. Just accept it as the cost of entertainment. Think of it as paying for an experience, not investing for a return. That shifted something in Barkley's head. He stopped chasing the $1 million win. He set loss limits. He treated gambling like a paid form of entertainment. You buy a ticket to a concert. It costs $100. You don't make your money back. You just pay for the experience. Apply that to gambling. Set a budget. Lose that budget. Move on. That philosophy worked. His gambling behavior became more controlled. The losses slowed down. He had figured out how to gamble responsibly, or so he told himself. But here's the thing. Here's what shows Barkley is still fighting the same demons. In 2024 and 2025, Barkley has become a brand ambassador for FanDuel. He does commercials. He promotes sports betting. He's a public face for the gambling industry. He tells people to bet responsibly. He's the face of responsible gaming. But in recent interviews, he's admitted something that contradicts that entire message. He said, "FanDuel only lets me bet so much, so I gotta have a bookie on the side." Let that sink in. The betting app that pays him to promote it has betting limits. Those limits exist to protect people. They exist because regulated companies have compliance departments that prevent catastrophic losses. But Barkley exceeds those limits. He needs to bet bigger. So he has a private bookie who lets him do it. He's operating outside the regulated system because his appetite for action is bigger than what the legal system allows. That's not moderation. That's a guy still chasing the rush. That's a guy who's still got the old demons. He just calls it something different now. He calls it being a paid entertainer who happens to bet big. But the truth is simpler. He still wants to bet more than society thinks he should. And he's still willing to step outside the lines to do it. That's the evolution. That's not redemption. That's adaptation. He's adapted his behavior to fit his brand, but the underlying drive is the same. The need to push limits. The need to exceed what's allowed. So when you see the title, The Scandal of Charles Barkley, his ex-wife just revealed, understand what's happening. The ex-wife doesn't exist, but the real scandals are real. The Madonna distraction was real. The 2008 collapse was real. The gambling obsession is real and ongoing. Through it all, Marine stayed. That's the story. Not an ex-wife scandal, but a 35-year marriage that withstood chaos that would destroy most relationships. Barkley built a philosophy around rejecting the role model label. "I am not a role model," he said in 1993. "Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids." That freed him from moral authority. But he built a career on brutal honesty, on admitting his flaws publicly, on living it all publicly. And that honesty is his armor. When you've already told the world you gamble too much, when you've served jail time for a DUI, when you've admitted to infidelity, when you've confessed to needing a bookie, there's nothing left to hide. That makes you uncancelable because you've already canceled yourself. And the truth, no matter how ugly or uncomfortable, is more trustworthy than a carefully managed image. That's the Barkley paradox. He did everything wrong according to the PR playbook. He gambled too much. He drank and drove. He admitted to infidelity publicly. And because he did it all wrong, because he admitted it all publicly, he became the most trusted voice in sports media today. The ex-wife scandal is a ghost story, a clickbait dream created by algorithms desperate for engagement and clicks. But Charles Barkley, the gambler, the man, the survivor who admits his flaws and faces consequences, that's real. That's the genuine story worth telling. Like and subscribe and let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.